Welcome. Fine. It's 5 o'clock. We will start. The usual welcomes to everyone, to all of our cabinet members, apart from the apologies from Councillor Bacon, who is otherwise detained. So that's an apology for Councillor Bacon. Thank you to all our support staff that, as always, turn up and give us the needed support that we require to carry on the business of this cabinet and this council. So thank you for that. Let's move straight on. We've got a short agenda and we'll keep it as brief as we can for all of those concerned here. So we have the minutes to confirm as a true record of the minutes of meeting held on 12th September. We have Ian's proposing that. Thank you, Paul. That's seconded. Those who are in favour of noting that there, thank you, that's unanimous. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? There are no declarations of interest. Thank you. Public question time. There are no public in our gallery, none in the chamber itself. Do we have any written? There are no public questions. Thank you. So we'll move on swiftly to the chairman's announcements. Well, very brief and very brief indeed, but a couple of things that I'd just like to make you all aware. So we wrote recently to the minister. Have you seen the reply today? Oh, okay, I'll let you have that. We wrote to the minister recently about the fairer funding for the Isle of Wight Council, providing the data and information that we did and have done in the past. And I've had a reply. It's non-committal, as we expect, but it is a reply, and it was a reply from the minister, and I'll make sure that that gets circulated. I've only just received it this afternoon. Circulated. It's encouraging, but non-committal. We wouldn't expect much more. And in that respect, I think it's helpful for me to say, but awkward at the same time, that currently our budget forecast overspend for this year is around 5.7 million. That's under pressure, but it's 5.7 million nonetheless. A lot of the pressure is coming from adult social care and children's services, but those are services that we have very little control over because the demand is the demand. That said, we're doing all we can to mitigate those rising costs, and I know there's some great initiatives being brought forward by both directors of adult social care and children's services, and I thank you for some of the information you've given us on that. Our planning income is under pressure. That's indicative of less planning applications coming through. Bereavement services income is 0.4 of a million, a pressure on income. Again, it's a strange thing. People pass away or they don't, and use our services or they don't. And so there's little control that one has over them. So it's a matter of fact. But nonetheless, those incomes are down for that. And our temporary accommodation, which I know we have some initiatives in the pipeline for, some great initiatives, is under pressure also. That said, we've got a treasury management underspend of 1.3 million. So as of this moment, and we're around 6 months into the financial year, our budget pressures are not far off of the expectations, and our staff and our officers and our chief executive team are doing their utmost best to mitigate any further movement away from what we expected to see. What it means at this moment in time, and there are some mitigating circumstances that will be coming along line, and we will explain these later on in the year, is that our savings target for next year is likely to be £3 million. That's the current forecast for next year. So that's where we are. We'll bring further updates as we move on into the budget process itself. And I would just like to, a couple of other things very quickly. This was mentioned at Regen and neighbourhood scrutiny, and it's about the DIPS planning. And there seems to be some misunderstanding. So I've taken the trouble to get a rough guideline, and it is a rough guideline because the planning inspectorate is part of this process in terms of when we submit plan. But the plan is this, that during October this year, we submit our draft plan to the planning inspector. In January, we are expecting the planning inspector to examine and have the hearing sessions on our draft plan. In April or May next year, 2025, we will consult on any modifications that come forward during this process. And in August 25, we will receive the inspector's report. In October 25, so that's a year away from here, we expect around that time for a full council decision at that time to adopt the island plan or not. But the point is, already that's a year away from today. There seemed to be some misunderstanding that we need a plan B or other plan in place, not a draft island plan, but a plan if the inspector doesn't accept our draft. Well, it's well into the next council for this authority, and that's the process. So that's the process we're sticking with. And then finally, at scrutiny, there was some mention of housing, and I know scrutiny are looking at a process of scrutinising the housing and calling in housing providers and so on. Fully entitled to do and welcome their work on it. However, some members of the committee referred to there being nothing done on housing. Nothing. I think that was the word. Nothing has been delivered. So I just thought I would correct that, because far from nothing being done in this administration, in the past 4 years, we've delivered 1,807 homes on this island. And in the past 4 years, we've delivered, of that 1,800, 333 affordable homes. Now, I don't see that as nothing. I see that under the circumstances, that's a decent delivery. It's 1/6, it's 15%. We can do better. We're trying to do better, and we've got in place initiatives along with Councillor Stevens and his work. We're going to increase that number. But the commentary from scrutiny that this administration have done nothing is false. And those are the numbers. They're the exact numbers. So I just wanted to correct that at the earliest opportunity that we have, which is tonight. That's the end of my announcements. And I'll move on to the next item, which is report of the Cabinet Member for the Local Council Tax Support Scheme. Over to you, Ian.
Thank you, Leader. And I'm very pleased to see that Erin's here as well. And she's on annual leave. That shows the commitment of staff. So, you know, it's we get hammered quite a bit, but our staff are, you know, without equal, I think. Anyway, it's that time of year again. The local council tax support scheme. You remember the shenanigans of last year. Call that, Phil. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, we were quite strident with the way we went forward last year. We knew what we wanted to do, and it was brought about. Although it rebounded a few times and bounced about a bit because some people didn't know there was a hardship fund attached to the council tax support scheme, and I think that a lesson was learnt throughout the elected membership of the Isle of Wight Council to know exactly what this is. I'm fully aware of the situation. We are going to hold the council tax support scheme. We propose it at 75% at this moment in time, but we review this annually. It was I think the council tax support scheme was first introduced 1st of April 2013, and part of it is governed by central government, and the other part is we can move things around a bit. So what I would say is that and if you want more on that, because I know that Erin's there and I know how quick she is with her words at summing things up. So I might refer to her in a moment after I've finished. But what I want to say is that you know, when government renewed or passed this along the line, so as to be the council tax support scheme, it replaced what central government had, which was a council tax benefit scheme, and that was administered on behalf of the DWP. Council tax support money is not a financial transaction as such. The support is given as a discount on the council tax, and it reduces the council tax base, and as such, instead is a reduction in income raising ability. So we lose a bit, and so do the fire authority and others that are involved with precept, police authority as well, I believe. I would say that our pensioners on the Isle of Wight, subject to their income, can receive up to 100% support towards their council tax. The council has no powers to change this scheme. Any changes to the level of council tax support can be made to the working age scheme, which is the other part. And I believe there's about just over £4 million over the last year, which was claiming council tax support by those working age applicants. I want to just move on to page 16 if you've got your papers, because that's the little bit where we got some changes around from last year, which I'll start at paragraph 32, consultation for 2025-26. Consider a proposed scheme to remain the same as the current scheme aside from the following small changes. To replace the current earning disregards of £25 and £17.10 per week with one standard earnings charge disregard of £45. So that's an improvement there. To remove the extended reductions element of the scheme. To remove the childcare costs and disregard childcare element of universal credit from the calculations. To disregard in full any post office compensation scheme payments. To disregard in full any vaccine damage payments, and to disregard in full any payments from the infected blood inquiry. So I think, you know, we've opened up the scheme and tried to be as generous as we possibly can and as open as we can. Must be aware that that was afforded locally by working through, and this is what the Alliance administration is putting forward. And I'd like to, this is when I bring in Erin, because I really like to thank her and Claire for doing this. It's brilliant. It's all encompassing. As you can see from the recommendation that is on page 12 at this moment, you can see there are two appendix noted, Appendix 4 and Appendix 5. Appendix 4 is the CTS, and the Appendix 5 is for the hardship fund. Now, what I would say is that we don't cut corners. We do not cut corners. Our officers do not cut corners when we bring forward a paper. And they are there in their entirety. They are there where people can note what there is within the facility or service that they're using. And that is what it's about. And I think that what we need to do is say, okay, we know there's a body of paperwork in Appendix 4, a heck of a lot, and it takes a lot of reading. I don't expect the members of the public to read it, but it does actually give information on how to apply. But they can apply by phone, apply by email, apply by form. So there's numerous ways, and our staff, as was noted last year, are always there to assist. We don't turn our backs. We don't say, oh, well, you've got a complicated form, go away, fill it in. We actually have staff that are on hand to assist the process and make sure that things are done equitably and fairly. I just want to now go to what came out of the scrutiny last night, which was, I'll read from the scrutiny paper if I can find it. Yeah. The item was the was the review of cabinet agenda local council tax support scheme 2025 to 26. That the wording, particularly the recommendation, be made clearer in the report before it comes to full council. So the recommendation from our scrutiny committee is that the council be encouraged to improve its signposting for residents. As I said, we do a heck of a lot over and above, and we'll continue to refine that. And I know that the team will work as extremely carefully to make sure that if things are signposted in a different manner, then they are not, they cannot be misconstrued or misunderstood. Things are written in a way so that there's less challenge or there's less misinterpretation, and that's why they're written the way they are by officers who are trained and acquire the knowledge and the skills to take things forward. I want to move to the recommendation now, Phil. I'm leader. I really I'll dwell on it a bit, but I think that, you know, we need to understand that this had a bit of a harried time last time out. This time we've got everything written in the papers, and we've got a comment from the corporate scrutiny committee. What I want to go through now is the current recommendation was that Cabinet recommends to full council adoption of the proposed scheme in brackets as detailed at Appendix 4, which is the council tax support scheme, and also that Cabinet recommends to full council that it continues the current exceptional hardship policy, open brackets, as detailed at Appendix 5, close brackets. We've now got a change to that on to assist with our scrutiny colleagues. The recommendation is that there is no proposal to change the current scheme, bar making 6 small changes detailed in paragraph 32 to better align with national changes and universal credit administration. And then Cabinet recommends to full council that it continues the current exceptional hardship policy as detailed in Appendix 5. But it's virtually as was, but putting in about the changes on page 32. So if you want me to recap, the cabinet recommends to full council adoption of the proposed scheme as detailed at Appendix 4. That there is no proposal to change the current scheme, bar making 6 small changes detailed in paragraph 32 to better align with national changes and Universal Credit Administration. And the other bit, that Cabinet recommends to full council that it continues the current exceptional hardship policy as detailed at Appendix 5. We all clear?
Thank you. Can I have a seconder for that? Julie? Clear before I ask, that small amendment, you're aware of that amendment. Ian's read it out now, and that's an addition to the printed recommendation. Any comments or questions for Ian? Julie and then Laura.
Yeah, no, just that I was present at corporate scrutiny on Tuesday. I always like to be there to hear what the committee, and obviously made up of elected members, have to say. And my takeaway was, I think, as was printed in the recommendation we got today, that there was just about more clarity regarding what full council would be voting on. I think obviously it's a big paper, just want that read across through to there, but there wasn't any argument really about the situation the council's in and what we were able to do as a council. So obviously they may have different things to say at full council, but that was, so I'm very comfortable with the recommendation taken on board for corporate scrutiny's comments.
Thank you, Julie. Laura.
Well, I was only going to say, I know I praise our town and parish councils. You know, they're just superb, what everyone does for us for free in these. And it's really good to see so many of the town and parish councils that have actually agreed with the paper. Northwood Parish Council, Brading Town Council, Cowstown Council, Chell Parish Council, Fishbourne Parish, Wootton, Bembridge, East Cowes, Whippingham. You know, it's good to have that endorsement from so many of those town and parish councils that they are supportive of this scheme. So I don't think there can be too much wrong. And I'd also like to say well done on using the climate and sustainable development impact assessment tool. Absolutely marvellous. It's something that we're trying to get put through, but it really does show. So thank you for doing that. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Thank you for that clarity. Debbie.
Thank you, Leader. I'd just like to briefly add, Councillor Stevens said about signposting, which is incredibly important. We know that there is a lot of information on the council website, but that doesn't always reach out to the people that we need to reach. So as Councillor PC Wilcox alluded to, our town, parish and community councils are absolutely vital as our eyes and ears on the ground, but also I know that ourselves as councillors always welcome residents to actually come directly to us so that we can actually make sure that they are aware of all the services that we provide. But certainly the local council tax support scheme in the current financial climate for everybody is an absolutely essential source of help for residents. So thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Any further comments? Just to add from me then, very pleased and proud as administration. We've increased this by 10% since we became the administration, Ian. Not only have we increased it by 10%, we've maintained it at 10%, helping those most in need in our community, the most vulnerable and least able. We're helping. And along with that, perhaps in my chairman's amounts, I should just remind you all that this year we found an extra £500,000 in our budget process, Ian, that is now being spent out in our community on very positive initiatives, again, helping the most vulnerable and the least able to look after themselves. And I'm very proud that we've managed to do both those things. Those in favour of the recommendation, please show. Thank you, that's unanimous. Very quickly, Cabinet member announcements. Julie, I'll indulge Julie.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate this opportunity. Quickly, big thanks to all Team Isle of Wight Council for the huge effort in getting Medina Studios, Kingston Marine Park to planning 2 weeks ago. I can't tell you what a big milestone that is, and I also can't tell you about all the work that has been done by numerous officers across different directorates across this council. So thank you, and thank you, of course, the planning committee for coming to the right decision. Thank you very much. So obviously that's the start of another phase of work, and as we speak, regen officers are putting together a bid to the British Film Institute for skills funding, which is absolutely critical that we get our our islanders, our residents ready for this opportunity. And it's going to be a different industry we've never had before, but it is an industry coming to the island, so we need to get ready for that. You know, you've heard me talk about my match fit for film several times. So a successful grant funding application from BFI will certainly be a shot in the arm, and it shows all that work that we've done over the past few months. All of our partners on the island are ready and waiting and putting in and working together to put this bid together. So thank you very much. Yesterday there was an announcement by Lisa Nandy, the Secretary of State for Culture, and she's putting big store in the film industry now with some new tax relief for independent filmmakers, and also talking about the skills in culture and how important that is. And I was wondering, Leader and our Chief Executive, whether we could write a letter to Lisa Nandy, telling her what was happening on the Isle of Wight, because I think we need all the support we can, because this is a new industry. You know, think of it, if we're having a steel factory coming here, you know, many years ago, the same kind of excitement, but we really do need pour any leave we can to get this going as quickly as possible. So thank you for that. If that's okay, a big ask from me there. Secondly, just want a big shout out for our libraries. It's Green Libraries Week. Unless you were going to say that, Laura, I'll let you say that. I feel it's Green Libraries Week at the moment to the 13th. So do get along to libraries right across the island and seeing what's going on there. And look out, of course, for all of the activity that will be happening across all our libraries during half term. It's a great resource for families. Many events free. Sometimes they just cost £1, but they're really great ways to entertain your children. I believe Cowes Library this weekend, you've got a thing on craft collaging with felt, which looks quite interesting. If I wasn't working, I'd be going. And just another thing on Lord Louis Library, we're investing into the second phase of works there on the roof. So it's closed today, tomorrow and Saturday, while staff are taking out the books ready for the refurb. It'll be open as much as we can during the works, and then I think there's a date in December as well. So and One Leisure continue its recovery as well. I had a briefing yesterday, so that's really good news there. So don't forget to get your One cards, and I believe we've got someone's in the room who's about to be purchasing a One card as well, subscription. So thank you, Councillor Stevens. So there'll be 3 members of the cabinet with One card. So let's see if we can have a few more. Anyway, thank you very much for your indulgence, Chair.
Thank you, Julie. Always good, positive news. Carol. Well, it's true. Laura, sorry. And then Laura.
I just want bullet points really. So I wanted to say congratulations to our Democratic Service officer in the room who completed the Isle of Wight Marathon. Well done. Got to do that one. Oh, well done. Congratulations. And just to let you know that
Final, or did she do the semi-final and the quarter-final?
And then the Coroner's Court is nearly ready to be up and running. So I'm going to be visiting in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully I shall arrange for a visit so councillors can come and visit. Very exciting, and will save this council quite a lot of money. It will pay for itself very, 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 very quickly. East Cowes Fire Station has been demolished, so we're at the start of the process of rebuilding that soon. So that comes to planning, etc. So that's really good news. My police station is opening this, front desk is opening this month, so I'm really looking forward to that. And also, I went to HMS Warrior for the fire service, but the reason I want to talk about this, I have to say I paid my own expenses. It wasn't from the council, I paid it myself, but it was for to raise money for a charity called Sophie's Legacy, and it supports children on the Isle of Wight, and it's a lovely young lady who sadly passed away from cancer called Sophie. hence Sophie's Choice, and she wanted more help in hospitals for children and their parents. So if there are things like play specialists, improvement for food for children in hospitals, parents fed while they're in hospital with their children, health professionals trained in childhood cancers, and increased funding for research. So if ever you're looking for a charity to put a bit of money towards, I think that is an admirable one. And I was pleased to be present and help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Laura.
Yeah, just really quickly, we've had a bit of a switch around with people in the climate and biosphere group, and a new chap there has been very dogged. We've had a boat that ran aground some time ago between Freshwater and Totland, and this guy is not letting it go. He is absolutely going to the nth degree to get the right people to come in and have that boat removed, as opposed to it breaking up and contaminating the waters. So I must give a big shout out for him, because he really isn't letting that one go. He's also, after years of neglect, sadly, we've now managed to negotiate that Hersey Nature Reserve is now being grazed, which would be absolutely wonderful to see the cattle and the sheep and everybody out there. So that's a really, really good thing. We've invested quite heavily in EV vehicles in our call to help with the CO2 emissions and everything else. So we've done really well there. And he continues to work with all of the Tidal, Wave, and anyone else that wants to work in doing things to do with carbon reduction. So just wanted to flag those up. Thanks.
Well done, Laura. Thank you. Debbie.
Just briefly, we've heard from a couple of our cabinet members tonight praise for our council staff. And I think we are extremely blessed to have some amazing staff that work for us. And it's only right that we do acknowledge that. So last week, I was really, really delighted to attend, along with you, Leader, to an awards ceremony, and you, Wendy, Chief Executive, to the Adult Social Care Awards, where it was held in this chamber here, and there were a wide range of categories, and we heard how our staff go over and above in what is almost always very difficult circumstances, how they actually do deliver for us as a council, and most importantly, provide the best possible service for our island residents. So I just wanted to highlight, it was really nice to be able to meet with those staff and to actually say a personal thank you. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Debbie. I agree. And what a spread. 2 tables full here, drink and food. It was a fantastic evening. Great turnout from the staff that were. It's all hacking. I said, everyone's a winner, but they are all winners, no doubt about it. Somebody has to win. Somebody has to get across the line first. That's just how life is. But everyone there actually contributed an enormous amount to not only to give to this authority and this council in delivering its service, but the people that they look after out in our community, which is the vital part of their work. Fantastic to see. Long may it continue. Let's move on to consideration of the forward plan. Any comments on our forward plan? Debbie.
I have read the papers, yes, Leader. Just to highlight that we have now got the draft of our poverty reduction strategy. It's actually coming to Cabinet in December. And I'd just like to highlight that it is very much a strategy that has been brought together with our partners. It's not an Isle of Wight Council strategy. It is a poverty reduction strategy for the island. And I really look forward to the action plan. There's some very clear objectives in there. And I look forward to the action plan coming forward. But at this point, just to say thank you to the enormous amount of work that is already going on out in our communities to support our residents. This hopefully will strengthen that moving forward. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you,
Leader.
Debbie. And to note, it's a 5-year plan, quite a lot of actions in it. And I know we're going to implement some of those actions. It's a wide, deep breadth of aspiration to address poverty, necessary nonetheless, but great to see it come forward and to actually see some actions coming out of it. So thank you. Members' question time. Well, it's only us. You can't possibly have a
It
question.
was just
Jude.
an observation really, and this is a great opportunity to ask questions of the cabinet, isn't it? And there's no one here to ask questions. Though sometimes I get asked questions in forums where it's not set up for that, and it can be quite difficult to interact properly and give correct responses. So just wanted to flag that up really. This is a great place to come and ask the cabinet questions.
Thank you. There being no further questions.
Thank you, Chair.